Hi, everybody. Today's workshop, we are merging two really awesome pieces of technology. We'll be using the Sawgrass sublimation printer as well as the Siser Juliet cutter. So we will be kind of merging those two items together to make some really fun designs. So let me talk a little bit about sublimation. If you have questions about sublimation, please do feel to pop them in and I'll try and answer them as we go along. Sublimation is a way to add design to a garment or a blank that has a special covering on it. I'm not using the right word there, but it has a special surface to it, so it can absorb the chemicals from the sublimation printer onto your garment or your blank. And that process happens through heat. So you need to have a printer that is dedicated to sublimation printing, and you need to use the special sublimation ink. Once you use the sublimation ink into your printer, it is your sublimation printer for life. Like you can't go, you probably can, but it's a lot of work to go and convert it back to a regular printer. And you also can't take a printer that you've used as a regular paper printer and just add sublimation ink into that. The tubes and everything, it's a different consistency of ink. It's a different type of ink, so you really can't mix the two. You need to have a printer that is dedicated to sublimation printing. And today I'll be using the Sawgrass 500 as well as the Sawgrass software for the PrintMate software, which makes it super easy to print out your designs. Now, normally I would be using sublimation paper. So the sublimation paper is designed to hold the inks before the inks are heated and transferred to your blank. So all that chemistry happens with the heating of your ink and your blank. So with your blank, those pores are opened up and they absorb the chemicals and they become one with the shirt. So this shirt I have here that says bride on it, this was designed and made using sublimation ink. So the ink that when it's transferred onto the shirt, it becomes one with the shirt. So like I can feel the rhinestones on the shirt, but as far as the ink goes, I feel nothing. It's like it's in those fibers. When we're talking about using the EasySubli material, this is the vinyl material that is designed to take the printout from your Sawgrass sublimation printer and put it onto this vinyl type material. So when I run my hand over this, you may even be able to hear that. It's got the vinyl on it. So it allows us to design and print on colored garments. So when you're using direct from your Sawgrass printer onto a blank, usually that blank is going to be white or cream, and it doesn't allow for that bright vibrancy of colors on a darker material. So, and not only that, but this is a cotton material. So when you're using directly from your sublimation printer onto your sublimation paper, it needs to go onto a polyester shirt. And that polyester has the fibers that open up and absorb the ink. So if you have a 50-50 shirt, or if you have a dark colored shirt or 100% cotton shirt, like these comfort colors, you will you'll want to use the Siser EasySubli heat transfer vinyl. So now this is sort of the bridge piece. Put that back. This is the bridge material that allows you to use the vibrancy of your sublimation printer and add your design onto the sublimation heat transfer vinyl, the EasySubli HTV, and then because it prints out on a full sheet, then you want to cut your design out, and that's where the Juliet or the Leonardo cutter comes in and allows you to cut out all the heat transfer vinyl that you're not going to use. If I just put this on my garment as is, it would just be the white part of it would transfer to the shirt, so it would get a rectangle. So when you have a design that you want to cut out around, like this little whale stamp, I need to cut away the design around the paper, heat transfer vinyl around that design. And I do that in the Siser software. So let's go ahead and jump into the Siser software. I'm going to do this, we'll repeat this a couple times. So if you have questions as I go along, please do feel free to ask those, and I can pause and answer those questions. Now, the designs that I'm using today are from Creative Fabrica, which when you buy your Siser machine, you get a free year of Creative Fabrica library of images and content, and you will never exhaust your options with that website. It is fantastic. So all the designs I'm using today are from Creative Fabrica. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll go right into the Leonardo Design Studio. Now, along the top of my studio here, I have files that are relative to our class today that I've been working on. So let me take this Love Summer design here. This will be the first design we will transfer onto our shirt. And I think I'm going to go backwards. Let me change that a little bit. Let me grab this design. So this design, Summer Vibes, it's designed as a print and cut, as well as so it has the print file and the cut file. So to do this, what you need to do is you'll create a new canvas, and at the top where it says file, you'll say import. Now I've already downloaded all my designs that I want to use into a folder that I've named the EasySubli HTV folder. So these are all downloaded and the files have been extracted and opened, and then I can just come on in here and choose which file I would like to use. So I think this turtle surf one is the file I'm going to use. Let me make sure that's the right one, because I have two turtles and that's not the right one. Let me go back. Summer Vibes turtle. There we go. So we're going to open this design up. Now this is a PNG file. So everything is already flattened to be a print then cut. If I wanted to cut this out of vinyl and then piece all these layers back together, it would have to be a PSD file. So when I open this image to import it into the Leonardo software, I just click next, and it'll run you through a few different items that you need to choose. So first it creates the mask, and the mask is what gives you those cut lines. So I'm just going to go ahead and say next to create that mask. It's going to smooth out any of those lines that I have on my design so that I get a nice smooth cut. So it just smooths that right out for you. Don't panic, it's done. The colors haven't gone away. And then it will allow some contouring, and you can include holes. So where there are holes in my design, I can include the cut lines for that. If I don't want that cut out, I would just click that off. And then I just click next. And this is where I can add a contour bleed to the design. Now, some of the designs we're working with today, I did add a contour bleed, but what that does is it allows a little edge around the design where you're going to cut, so that as you're cutting, let me see if I can get really big on this. See how it's becoming grayer around that design? This allows for any error on your blade. So if you're not exactly 100% right on that line of your design, this will give you a little bit of error, like a margin of error. So I'm going to go down and I will add a little bit of an offset if I wanted to, and maybe I would choose just a white offset. This is going to go on a pink shirt. Oh, let's see, let me do it. I'm going to go really make sure I have white. There we go. So now I can have that white margin, and when I put it on my shirt, if I have any extras around the design that didn't cut out, it will show up as white. So for this design, though, I actually decided not to include the contour bleed, and I brought that right onto my canvas. There we go. And here we go. Okay, so now with this on your canvas, what I want to point out, see these black kind of half squares in each corner? These are your registration marks. And as you enlarge your design and get it out of side of your page, the registration marks may turn red. And what that means is, hey, when you print this out and go to cut it, your machine won't see the registration mark. So you have to be within these margin of error and have all of your registration marks black. Now, also to note down here is this cute little triangle. This is what you're going to use to line up your blade with your cut. So it's very important that you have all of that all together. Now, once you've designed you've got it sized, you're ready to go, you can send your design over and get ready to print it and cut it. So the first thing we're going to do when we send it over is to send all of the artwork, and you don't need to move your designs onto different layers because it automatically will go over as 2 layers. So when you come over here, you'll have your print layer as well as just your cut layer. Now this one has a lot of little pieces it's going to be cutting. So, so I'm excited to see how this works. I have not cut this particular file yet, so we're going to see how it goes. Now, once you've brought it over, you're looking at it, you're thinking, yes, this is the right size. This is the right image. I've got my border on it if I want it, the contour bleed. I'm ready to go. I'm going to send it to a printer. So for me, since I'm using the Sawgrass printer, I'll send it to the Sawgrass PrintMate software. If you were using a different printer, you could come down the drop-down menu and pick the printer that you print it to. You can even print it to a PDF and then print that PDF if you wanted to. But let me just send this over to PrintMate, and I'm going to send to printer. And it'll give me a little dialog box and I say yes. Now I don't do anything more in the Leonardo software until I come back and I'm ready to cut it. So now I'll share my screen again. I can do this. Share screen. I'm going to share the PrintMate. And there's the print job. So my image that I'm printing shows up right into the PrintMate. Now you'll notice the PrintMate automatically mirrors the image, and it does this almost for every image you bring into PrintMate, because usually when you're printing with sublimation paper, you do need to mirror. But with the Subli HTV, you do not need to mirror. But this is what I love about the PrintMate software. It like saves me from myself. So the first thing I'll do is I can see that I've got my print job is right here. I have it sized the way I want to size it. If it were small design, I could add more to the page by using the repeat. Then I'll come down to the print settings. And first thing I'm going to do is select the material that I'll be printing on. And for this, I will be printing on the, let's see, where is it? I'll be printing on a shirt with EasySubli vinyl. So when I click that, it removes the mirror from my image. So it will no longer be mirrored. And I need to remove the registration marks that PrintMate puts in there. That would confuse your cutter. So we're just going to have the print marks, or the registration marks, that are from the Leonardo Design Studio. And then lastly, I'm just going to check my color management. I want it to be vibrant. I lost my little thing here. There we go. And you'll choose vibrant. Now, if you were doing a picture with, if you were doing an image with a photograph on it, then you would choose the photo set option of your here. So it removes my registration marks. When I hit remove registration marks, it changes the preset. So I'm just going to leave that alone, and then I'm ready to print. So you just hit that pink there and we're ready to print. Okay, so I've already printed this out and I'm going to pick it up. Now, the reason why I went ahead and printed this in advance, you do want to give your print a minute or so, 15 minutes up to 2 hours to cure. So what happens is the ink from your Sawgrass printer will sit on the top of the print paper of your HTV, the Subli, I'm going to call it the wrong thing, but the Subli paper. It kind of sits on the top of that. So you need to give it a moment to sort of dry so you don't smear it. So I've actually done all of my printing. Now I'm going to go over to, let's go to the overhead camera, if we could, Felicia. And I want to talk a little bit about when you are setting your image, when you're curing it, if you will. So this image here, I've already printed this out and I've actually cut it and done the weeding. So this is ready for the next step. But what I wanted to show you was when I started working with this material, a lot of the recommendations I saw were to actually cure your print for up to 5 minutes under your press. So I did that, and you can see the colors change, the colors change. So this is how it comes off the printer, this muted sort of color. When the sublimation ink is heated, that vibrancy bumps up and you get like this great color, which was fine. I wasn't worried about that. But what happened was, you can see like how ragged this is. As I was trying to weed my design, I could not get my design to weed off. Like even if I just took a corner of it to weed my paper off, I could not get it to easily lift off. It took a lot of work to get this much removed from the design. So what happened there? Why did that happen? Well, when I put it in the press to sort of cure the print, it started to heat up. Now I didn't close my press or anything, I just had it under the heat. But the paper started to heat up and it started to stick. So it's no longer, it's very hard to remove from the backing, to weed it and everything. And I really struggled with it. So that, learn from me. You really, if you leave it out for minimum of, I'd say 15 minutes up to 2 hours, you could even leave it overnight if you wanted to, and you'd be ready to go. So we will press this one, and I'm super excited to see how it turns out. But before we do that, let's get our turtle set up in the machine. Now, if you've used other craft cutters, or if you're using either your Silhouette or your Cricut, you want to use the print then cut feature. So I'm going to talk about the print then cut feature on the Siser Juliet. So first I'm going to remove my plastic cover from my cutting mat. You always want to have that handy. And then we're going to place the printout onto the mat. Now, one thing I found was it was easy to line my blade up if I had my arrow on the 2-inch line. So I'm going to put my paper and line that arrow up on the 2-inch line. So I'm just going to put that down. Now I'm not going to press on the design itself. I kind of want to just press around the design and make sure that it is adhered to my mat. If your mat doesn't seem to be holding your paper, you may want to just give your mat a little clean scrub using some baby wipes, and that will hold it right onto there. Now, as far as the cutter itself goes, one other thing I did was I moved my wheels to the side. I noticed on my first couple of cuts that I was getting these marks, and some of it, I think the middle wheel was from running over the paper. So I moved it over to the side and I haven't had a problem. And I can still see, like on my mat, I do have some little marks of the wheels, but that's not going to interfere with my paper or my cuts. So what we're going to do is go ahead and load our mat into your machine. Now for this one, I do like to open up the back clamp so that lifts all my wheels, and I can just position this right in and get it lined up nice and smooth. So I line it up with the edge here. You can even line it up if you wanted to with the edge there, but I like to line it up with this edge here on that side, and then I'll line it across the front. Okay, so once I've got it lined up, I just push my clamps down in the back. Sorry, you can't see that. And now I'm ready to line up my blade with this arrow. Now I'm going to go with my blade. I'll bring it inside this box. So it's just going to go down here and inside that box. What's going to happen is your machine will look for those registration marks, which will tell your machine exactly where to cut. So this tip is the tip of your blade here is not the blade. You've really got it. The blade is right under this tip there. So I'm going to line that tip up with this little triangle here. And I do that using these arrows. So I'll feed my mat in a little bit, pull it in and out. Let's see. And I'm just going to push it over a little bit. This is always a little back and forth. Sometimes you have to go all the way over and then come back. That's pretty good. It's not quite perfect. Let me see. I'm going to do, I'm loading that, and I'm going to try lining it up a little bit closer on this side here. Check back in. It's very important that you get this lineup set up properly, because this is how you'll know your cuts will come off accurate. Okay, so I'm right where I need to be, and I'm going to pull this up so I can show you guys where I am. So you can hopefully see the tip of my blade is right here, and it's almost close to the arrow. It's not like perfectly 100% exactly. I'd have to keep going back and forth to get it perfect, but it's pretty good. So I'm okay with that. And then I'm just going to push it back a little bit so it's in the square behind it. Okay. So once I've got that done, all I need to do is go back to my Leonardo software and select, let me just share my screen again so you guys can see how to send this over. Here we go. Okay, so once I'm ready, I just select the cut layer here, which is the second layer, and I say send to cutter. Now, normally I would always do check my settings, do a test cut before cutting. However, I was cutting just before this class with this material, so I know that my the settings are accurate. So I'm going to use my settings on the cutter. You can choose not to and design and put your settings here. You'll see a little arrow, like you can choose all your cut settings here, but I'm just going to use the settings that I have on the machine. And then I just say send to cutter, and a little dialog box says yes, and so I'm going to send that over. Now what's going to happen in this window here is it's going to check for the I wonder if I can pause it. It's going to check for your registration marks. There is a little teeny tiny red arrow that will show up here. And what you need to do is line that red arrow up with this corner of the first box. So that'll be this box right here. Then the machine looks across and comes to this box and make sure that red arrow lines up in there, and it does the back corner and the back corner, and then it starts cutting. And it really starts to cut quickly. It's sort of surprising to me how quickly it will start cutting. Now, I'm going to let this one, I'm going to slide this back just a little bit, because like I said, this one has a lot of little pieces in it. And I'll show you how easy it is to weed this material. So remember with my, this one here that was a nightmare for me, how hard it was to get under there and to get that weeding started. And that was because my material had started to heat up. So you can see it's really kind of challenging to get that off. This is what it should look like. If I had this back enough, slide this back just a little bit more. Okay, so this is what it should look like. This is how easily it should be for you. Now I added some extra little designs on this shirt. I thought it'd be cute to have a little pocket design on here or something. So I did add 2 little smaller designs onto this one. I don't believe my hands, I think my hands are part of it, are part of my design. So I'm not going to weed in the center there. I think I just needed to weed the outside of that design. Now, once that's done, I want to show you on the paper. So this had that black, the black bleed contour to it that I added. So you can see where it basically cut right in between those lines. So I have a little bit on the outside of it, which means I have no white left around the edge of my design. And that's how I wanted it. So let's see, this one's all cut out. Isn't that fast how quickly it cuts out? I love that. Okay, so while I'm doing the weeding job on this, because this may be a little bit more of a weeding than the other one, does anybody want to pop in any questions you may have? And I'd be happy to answer those. I see one coming in right now. What type of machines and to weed do you need to do this project? So you can cut this material on any of your hobby cutters. So whether you're using a Cricut machine or a silhouette machine or the Siser machine, you can cut the EasySubli material on any of those different machines. And each machine has its own print and cut settings. So you'll just need to be familiar with your machine's technique for doing the print and cut. So that's the first, that answers your first question there. And then you don't have to weed. So if you didn't have, let's say you don't have a hobby cutter, you could do a rough cut around these with scissors. Something like this design where you have the intricate part of it would be really challenging. But a design like this, you could definitely, I feel like you could definitely weed around that pretty easily and have that design down. Did you see how easily that all came off? And I just need to get in here a little bit. I think I have some weeding in here to do. Mostly where it's white is where I need to do any extra weeding. And you can see with my weeding tool that just pops out. Now, if you didn't have a hobby cutter and you were just cutting it, doing a rough cut with scissors, you could just leave that in there. You wouldn't need to worry about pulling it out. So I have a little bit down here that I need to take care of. I'm so impressed with how easily this works. So the type of sublimation ink I just used, since I have the Sawgrass Sublimation ink in my Sawgrass printer, that's the ink I used. There is specific ink for the Subli HTV. So you could have a dedicated sublimation printer for just that. But once you use that ink, that is the only ink you'll want to use in that printer. You can't switch your ink cartridges back and forth. It would really gunk it up. So I used the EasySubli. Now you can use any type of sublimation printer. So if you don't have the Sawgrass, you can use a different sublimation printer. You don't have to use just that one. Okay, so I'm ready to start pressing some of these projects. I love it. So the turtle is going to go on the back of this Comfort Color tank. sort of like this one, the whale is on the back of this one. And then I'll either do an embroidery on the front or I'll do another EasySubli design on the front. So I'm going to remove my tag. And the first thing we're going to do is you want to set your heat press to 315 degrees, and you only need to press for 15 seconds. So it's a really quick press. You can do your, whatever type of press you have. You can do the easy press, the auto press. This is, I don't even remember which brand this is, but this has a slide out tray. So I can just take my shirt, and if I wanted to, I could kind of fit it over the template here, the pad, but I don't need to do that. I'm just going to put a press pad down first, and then I'll put my shirt in with the back side up, because that's where my design is going to go, and I'll do a quick pre-press. Now, why do you do a pre-press? A pre-press will remove any moisture in your garment. So if you happen to be in a humid climate or something like that, you want to remove that moisture from your garment prior to putting your design on it. And the reason is the moisture will get in the way of your design. So I'm just going to put this down and do a little pre-press on it and be ready to go. So it only takes about 5 or 10 seconds to do a pre-press. So let's get everything smoothed out, pop that in there, and I'm ready to go. So I just hit my button and it's going to press it up for me. Now, normally when you're doing sublimation, like if you're doing a sublimation shirt like this, the chemical process of the sublimation transferring to the shirt requires you to have nothing between the ink and the blank. So when you're doing just regular sublimation, you would use like a lint roller and make sure there's no lint or anything on your shirt, so that you don't have anything that's going to get on your shirt and be a problem. So you want to make sure you lint roll if you're doing regular sublimation. Since we're doing the heat transfer vinyl sublimation, we only need to pre-press. We don't have to do that lint roll, because if there's a little piece of lint in there, you can kind of pull it out. Now, let me show you one last thing. Felicia, if we can go back over to the overhead camera. This design that we did here has all kinds of little pieces in it. So there's little dots all over here, little diamonds over here. Everything's kind of separate on its own. And that would be really hard to pick up and move and put onto a shirt all together. I'm not sure. Not sure how that design part goes there. I'm going to take this off here. We'll just leave that little design over there. So with all these little pieces, it's really hard to move this over to your shirt. So within the EasySubli package, you have masking paper, and it's basically like when you're doing vinyl. If you do anything with vinyl before, then it works the same way. So you just peel it off, and it has a sticky side to it. So I'm just going to peel that right off. And we're going to put this onto our design. I'm going to make sure there's no little pieces in there. So I'll just line it up on the bottom of my design. All right, I just want to make sure I get it lined up perfectly here. I like to have that straight edge on it. So I'm just going to line that right up and press that down. Now, if I want to, I can trim off the top a little bit so that it makes it easier to line it up on my shirt. So I'll just take off a little bit on the top here. So I'll make my lining up on my shirt just a little bit easier. So EasySubli will wash like your heat transfer vinyl will. You want to wait about 24 to 48 hours after doing your design before washing it. So once you've pressed your design, you want to wait a while. It doesn't, so it washes like vinyl does, that over time it will show wear. If you want something that doesn't show wear, then you just need to, then your sublimation prints don't show wear. Sublimation prints are pretty much right on your shirt. They're part of the fibers, and you'll lose the shirt or outgrow it before it shows any wear. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the carrier sheet. Now on the paper, when you place the paper in your printer for the Sawgrass printer, we are placing it with the printed side up. Let's see if I have one that is printed. That I haven't had yet. Nope. All right. So when you print it, sorry, I should have said this sooner. When you're printing with your paper, the paper itself has a glossy side and a rough side. So when you take it out of the package, you'll notice it has a glossy side, and this is the glossy side here. So you can see it shimmers. And then this side has like a rough texture to it. We're actually printing on the rough texture side. So you want to put it in your machine so that you can print on that rough side. And then the smooth side is what we're going to, is the shiny side is this carrier sheet. So the rough side is your printout, your printed part, and the smooth side is the carrier sheet. So once we put that transfer sheet on there, we're going to remove the paper from the design. That carrier sheet is going to come off. And you want to make sure all your little pieces stay down. So you can just roll it and work it at a 45-degree angle, just like you would if you're doing any other type of vinyl process. This one has lots of little pieces, so I want to be really careful. And what's cool is I can see from this back side areas where I didn't do all my weeding. I don't know if you guys can see on the S there, there's a little spot there that I need to weed that off. I'm just going to walk this right up. So when you're printing, you want to make sure that you print on the rough side, and you'll remove this carrier sheet. Now, if you have a big design that's all one shape, you can just peel it off the carrier sheet and transfer it over. I personally don't recommend doing that because I'm klutzy. So I feel like I would make a mistake and get something folded over onto the other side. That shouldn't be. So I personally would not do that. That's why I'll use the transfer sheet for everything I do. So I want it to transfer over really nicely. All right. So now also keep in mind how faded it is, but remember, once we press it, once that heat hits it, it's going to get much darker and more vibrant in color. So I'm just going to use my centering tool here, and I'm going to make sure I've got about the same size on each side. And I like to put my design about a hand width down from the top. So let's get that lined up. About the same on each side. It's about there, hand width down, and I've got my center line. So I can just take my design. You can do like a rough fold in the middle. Find the middle of your design and put that right on your sheet, right on your shirt. Little piece there that's sticking out. Okay. So before I press it too hard, I'll just check on my sides here and make sure I'm about the same on each side, which is perfect. Okay. So I have my carrier sheet. I'll keep my carrier sheet on my shirt, and I'm ready to put this now in my press. So let's go back over to the press, and I will just put my shirt in the press, and we'll be able to heat it up for 15 seconds. So I'm just going to put that right in here. I love this design. Now, I have not tried using this with a home iron, but since you don't have to get up to that 400 degrees, you may be able to do it with a home iron. And since it presses so quickly, it may do just fine. I have not tried that. So, okay, so I just am going to close up my press here. And we'll hit the go button, and it's ready to go. I love it. So just remember, when you're working with this, when you're working with it printing directly onto the EasySubli, you do not need to mirror your design. When would you need to mirror your design? You might ask yourself. So let me just let this do a little press here, a little cool down, and then you want to peel when it's a little bit warm. So if I were to cut out my design cut out the EasySubli first, you could do that, and then you would add your design on top of the EasySubli. Like if you wanted to make a patch or something like that, you could certainly do that. And then you would need to mirror your design when you print it. So there we go. And that's on there. Like I can't feel it, it's on there. You can feel the vinyl part of it, but it's on that shirt. Okay, so that's a fun little design there. Now you can also, let's do this other one. I've got my other shirt here ready to go. The Love Summer. Let's do that one. Let me grab this one. I'll bring this one over here. Again, I've done the weeding part of this, and you can see on the back of it, I did have ink on my hands. So it's on the back of my design here. Yeah, it's on the back. Okay, so I want to make sure. So I will do my sheet here, and yep, we're going to put this down. Now this has a black outline all around the design. I kind of like that it has that black edge on this black tank top. You'll really get to see how those colors transfer. So good question is, can you reuse your sheet? And the answer is yes, you can. Yes, you can, except for, you see how I touched mine down and I got a little bit of that S on there? I'm going to set that aside for right now and grab a new sheet because I don't want to accidentally transfer that onto my design. So I'm going to set that aside. That happens sometimes. And I'll just use that when I do a smaller design. But if your image doesn't transfer over, you can certainly reuse your sheet. Most of the time, my image has transferred over though. So I'm just going to put that right down. And before I pull that off, we'll go ahead and put our shirt. Now, another question you might be wondering is, do you need to pre-press your shirt before, or pre-wash your shirt before adding your design? And my answer to that is it depends. So I don't usually pre-wash my garments before I do a design on them. And that's mostly because they're for my family members. So even if I weren't making it for a family member, I tend not to pre-wash them because I don't know what another person's allergies might be to cleaning products or anything like that. And I certainly would not want to give them a design that would have them breaking out in hives or anything like that. So I tend not to pre-wash my garments. And again, with the EasySubli, it is recommended that you wait about 45 minutes. 2 days. I don't know why I said 45 minutes. You wait 2 days before washing your garment to really let that sublimation set. So if you're giving this as a gift, it's not necessarily a good last minute gift because you do want to give it time to set. Okay, let's get this laying down flat here. All right, now on this one, we'll go a little, the other ones were on the back of the shirt. So this one will go down a little bit more, but not too much more. So probably about 3 fingers from the top of the collar there. And I'll just put my guide on here. Now, if you're wondering where I got my centering tool, I did pick that up on Etsy. You can use just a regular ruler or anything like that will work. So it doesn't have to be this particular one. Just a regular ruler should should do just fine for you. Okay, so we're just gonna take this off. Now, I've already done the weeding on this design, so we're just pulling this right off. Okay, and I can see, I do like how in the back you can really see if you've missed something in your weeding. And if what would happen is that would just become, that little piece would just iron on when I ironed the design on. So it would just become one with the E. So not too big a deal that I missed it. Okay. So let's find the center of our design. And we'll just place that right onto the shirt. Like that. I just want to make sure it's centered on there. And then again, I'll just press this for 15 seconds. I'll just throw it back into my printer. I'm so excited to see how this one turns out. I've been staring at it for days now, just eager to press it. Okay, so again, my heat press is at 315 degrees for 15 seconds. And I will put some butcher paper on top just to keep as a barrier. I don't expect this to ink to transfer through, but just it's a good idea to keep it that way. So we'll do that. And then we're gonna see. It's always fun. The reveal is always my favorite part of any design I do. And I do have this little guy here. I'm eager to see how he's going to turn out, but I haven't decided if that should go on the front of the shirt or the back of the shirt. So maybe you guys, because I do have a little one, I could put a little one right there. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Felicia, you're going to love this one. Look at that. I love how the design, the artwork on this one also like makes it look like it's puffy. So we just peel this right off. Oh my gosh, look at that color and I mean, you know, with using just regular vinyl, it would take so long to get all these colors layered on and then positioned right on top of each other. Like that is to die for. That is, I'm in love with it. I think this is going to be my summer uniform.
And Cassie,
I
that
need to
is
get some
nice.
cute little white shorts.
If someone was wondering if they could use their regular printer, what would you tell them?
Good question. So you don't want to use your regular printer with the Easy Sublimation vinyl. You can use there is printable vinyl on the market. I think Cricut makes a printable vinyl that you can use to print on vinyl and do this a similar approach. It doesn't, I don't get as vibrant as colors as I do with this type of design using the sublimation printer, but you do get a nice, you get a nice look, and it does give you multiple colors without having to do multiple layers. So that's kind of how I would approach that one. Okay, now let me think. I want to do this on my right chest. Okay, I'm just going to heat up this up. Were there any other questions, Felicia? That's a really great question.
Sorry about that. I'm talking and I forgot I was on mute. So what other products could you use the Easy Sublimation, or what other sublimation items would you suggest?
Great question. So Siser has a number of like vinyls that you can actually use the sublimation on and kind of do the same thing. But if you do that, you want to make sure you mirror your design. So you could use like white glitter. Siser's white glitter is great for sublimating on, especially like if you do ribbons, like cheer bows or anything like that. That's a great material that you can do. You can also do the glow in the dark, which will give you lots of options at Halloween. So we have the glow in the dark, and then you also have the sparkle. I think it's called Sparkle Snowstorm is one that would work really well. And you have Mystic Pearl. is another one that you could use that would give you a great, it gives you different looks than just the Subli vinyl, because it just does, it'll just do the little bit of the, what am I trying to say? It does, it's not as vibrant. It doesn't come out as vibrant. So it's not designed specifically for taking that. So all these designs are from Creative Fabrica, and I've just imported them into my software, the Leonardo software. When you purchase your machine, you do get a year of Creative Fabrica, which I cannot tell you how often I go in there and get a design. I use it all the time for so many different things, but your different softwares have different artwork that you can use. So like if you were to do, like if you had a Cricut membership, you have lots of artwork in the Cricut software that you can use, Silhouette, and the Leonardo software does have designs in it that you can use as well. So we're just going to put this guy on the chest here. And I'm so excited about this one. So this little guy, his hands are like this off-white color, which I think is going to look really, really cute. Okay, so if I'm doing a pocket, I'm just going to put that right on my neck, and my pocket is going to go right there. So we'll do this one for 15 seconds, and then I'll come back and do the other side. So we'll pop that in there. So just remember, when you do, if you do some of the other heat transfer vinyls from Siser, you do need to mirror your design, and then you would do a higher press, because you'll usually cut out the vinyl first. Oops. You'll usually cut out the vinyl first, and then you'll press on top of it. So you'll cut out your vinyl, press it onto your garment, take your mirrored sublimated image and press it onto that cutout design. That makes sense. You can also use Cricut's infusible ink the same way. You can use that infusible ink, which is a sublimation product. You can use that. This is so cute. You can use that on a garment as well. So you would cut out your glitter heat transfer vinyl, cut out your sublimation, and then mirror before you cut, and then put that on. Look at how fun is this guy. So cute. All right, let's do the back. I'm excited. Get this here. And now I kind of want to try picking it up, but then I also don't want to do that because, like I said, I'm a little bit of a klutz, and I don't want to ruin this cute design by just not picking it up right. The vinyl is not sticky, like on the vinyl isn't sticky. So like if you were to peel it off, it's not sticky. So I shouldn't worry about it sticking back on itself. That's not going to happen. But, you know, why take the risk? So also, if you can use, again, I just want to reiterate that you can use the EasySubli HTV in different printers. So if you have your Epson sublimation printer, you can use it in there. You can use it in the Brother sublimation printer. All those work. It's a little bit, I think does go a little bit different on the, let me see, I think I wrote a note down to myself about it. About the Epson printer. There was just a little bit of a different technique. Yeah, I can't remember. All right. So let's just do this last one. And then if we have time, I have one more queued up, ready to go. So this one's going to go on the back of this garment. Again, this is just one single shape, so I could just pick it up and place it. But again, I'm just being a wimp. Also, I like the I like this paper because it does hold everything in place. So when I put it down and it's going to stick where I want it to stay. So I do kind of like that. All right, so let me get my shoulders lined up there. I'm going to find the center of this. So this is just I think a really fun way that you can expand out using your sublimation printer and create other garments and other things, other ways to do it. I do have a little, I was working on some reusable denim projects. So I was going to use the sublimation design on denim, and I did print it. So let me show you that. Like I printed it and pressed it onto a pair of denim recycled. And then I was going to make this into like a little bag or something. But I loved how it turned out on the denim. It was fun. And you can also think about using, let me grab one thing. Just the ideas for this are so endless, which, you know, makes it really super fun. But if you use like, if you use koozies, I think I got these koozies here like years ago. Oh, so cute. So if I wanted to, look at how fun is that. That was so cute on like a little tote bag or anything. You can put that design on anything. But this, so let's just do this. Okay, I'll be bold. I'm not sure if I need to heat it a little bit more on the neoprene. We'll give it a try. So we're just going to hand peel this off. Put that right there. Okay, and I'm just going to put, I'm going to put a little cover over it so that it doesn't stick to my press, like a little barrier piece here. Actually, this is the barrier piece. That's better. Let me get a little piece of, let me take a piece of this. So you can reuse your masking. We'll stick this little piece here. So this is neoprene. I've been using cotton shirts, so it may need a little bit more time to press, but we're gonna try it. Let's give it a shot. We'll do it for, oh, I didn't, you know what, let me just heat it up for 1 second. So make sure you don't have any moisture. What do you guys think? Are these just adorable? The last one I have, which I don't know if I'll have time. Nope, we don't have time. But is that Have a Nice Day, and I was going to put it on this little zipper tote that I found at Michael's, and I actually got this weekend as a last minute add-on, and it was on sale. So check your local Michael's and see if things are on sale. Okay, so let's do this guy here. Now, usually with neoprene, you may have to do a little higher temperature, but I think since it's just HTV, we're going to do it at 315 for 15 seconds. And please, you don't need to switch over the camera yet, because I'll be right back sooner than you can say, switch it over. Okay, I had written down some notes. I think we got all the answers. Oh, I'm so glad you guys like the class. Thank you so much. I hope this really just gives you all kinds of inspiration and ideas of what you can create. How is that? So this is just like a neoprene koozie. It was designed, I think I got this a couple years ago at the Target dollar spot, but how like amazing, so fun. So we've done so many different shirts and garments. It's great. All right. Any last questions, Felicia, before I know we have to sign off? I'd stay here all day and do this with you guys, but I know we got to sign off. But are there any more questions that came up that we didn't get to?
Not that I can see.
All right. Well, fantastic, guys. Please do join me for other classes. We teach, I teach every other Monday, and you can always pre-watch or post-watch a class on the Michael's YouTube channel. And if you want to share what you've created, I'd love to see it. And you can tag Learn with Michaels on Instagram, and I'll get to see what you make. So everyone, have a great week. I hope this just kicks you off with so much inspiration.